have to tell you, I was doing okay, but 70, even with the cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, but 70, you wake up in the morning and say, oh, this is what they're complaining
Yeah,
about.
well, that's what everybody's telling me about 40. So
No, you're in great shape. How much time do you spend in the gym?
3, maybe 4 days a week.
Really?
Yeah. You know what I've been doing? I've been walking a lot.
Oh, that's a great thing to do.
It's a great thing to do, and it's so easy. You just go outside and you walk. Who would have thought?
I live in a suburb, just north of here. It took me 40 minutes to drive in at that, I don't think. But I live on a lake.
Yeah.
So when they put the streets together and everything in this town, they had to go through a forest. There's the Sam Houston National Forest. So all of these apartments and houses are in this forest.
Yeah.
And the lake is right there. So it's a different thing, you know. So
Do you like that?
well, I was going to tell you is that oh, by the way, when we're going through this thing, if I lose my train of thought, jump right in, okay?
Listen,
All right.
will do. I want it to be casual. I want it to be like it just was when we were upstairs. But I got things I want to ask you,
Okay.
and I got water there for you,
All right.
and it's easy. I'm not asking you loaded questions. And I appreciate you doing this because this is the first one that I'm doing, and it's a project that I want to do for myself, and then, like a nice summer project.
Okay.
We're all getting older, Uncle Tom.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, last time I saw you was 10 years ago. It wasn't probably the best goodbye. It was a tough time for the entire family. I think it all still sticks with us, how we handled it was how we handled it. But like, I'm not one to judge. I'm not one to hold grudges. I'm not, it's like I don't need that in my life. Like, you did so much for me as a child, and I have so many good memories because of it.
Good. That's what I needed to hear. I was a little bit like, Jesus, don't ask me a question that I'm not going to be able to answer.
Yeah.
Anything, so.
No. This is strictly for myself. I would love to be able to show it to my mother or whoever. And then, when I do it with my mom, I could share it with you, and you can, I think that would just be cool. It'd be a cool thing for everyone to see.
Okay. All right.
But, so thank you for doing this. I really do appreciate it. It's an honor because you have been like a father figure to me my whole life.
Thank you.
Flying me out to San Francisco, flying me out to Houston, taking me to nice restaurants, taking me to Canada. I remember all these things, taking me to the Giants games. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? So
I remember thinking in my mind, besides, for you and Travis to play together and everything like that, but I remember thinking in my mind that I just wanted you from Buffalo. 'Cause I have this thing about Buffalo. I want people from Buffalo to see there's a big world out there.
Yeah.
And that you can get on a plane and you can, do whatever, and it's just not a big deal. You know what I mean? You can go places. And my experience, living in Buffalo was that I was living next to people that, had never gone to New York City in their life,
Yeah.
that kind of a thing. How can you imagine, being the greatest city in the world just about is right there, and I just thought that people needed to get out. I did that with my daughters too.
Yeah.
And now they go all over the place.
Right.
So.
Well, you definitely showed me the world. I mean, you showed me the States for sure. I mean, you brought me up to Canada too. But, I mean, I wouldn't have had that experience if it wasn't for you.
Yeah, good. Good. I'm glad that's good to hear.
Yeah. I mean, and I think you getting me to do that at an early age definitely opened up my eyes to a bigger world, and knowing that Buffalo wasn't just it.
Yeah. I remember one time you said to me, I know how you feel about Buffalo, because I never got a chance to really answer that, because, leaving Buffalo wasn't my first choice.
Yeah.
It was my second choice. I I did a pretty good job with that second choice. That's
Yeah.
all, you know.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. You definitely did. There's no doubt about that. You were the successful uncle that, you know, really shined and came back and put a smile on everyone's face when you came back. And, you know, you were very generous. And, I mean, every now and again you bring a hot blonde with you as well. Isn't that the truth?
my sister Lisa once said to me, she says, "I don't even know how many times you were married." She said it in a mad way, and I thought, like, well,
Yeah. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter. I think there was probably a lot of lessons learned throughout those times, right? And I know one of the questions that I have in here is kind of around that. You know, I'm 40, single, no children. It kind of went a little bit of a different direction than, I guess, the standard. But what would you say to somebody that is, you know, living their life and needs a relationship advice? Like, what would be the one big thing that you would want them to take away?
I'd first say, listen, if you're taking relationship advice from me, you're pretty crazy, you know. But I don't know. You know, I think if I look back at relationships, I would see someone attractive or whatever, and somehow, you know, just in a conversation, have a pretty good idea. I mean, I was in sales my whole life, you know,
Yeah.
and had a pretty good idea of, you know, how the conversation should go and everything, you
Yeah.
know. But I don't know. Now, nice thing about being my age, someone looks at me twice, I just want to say, don't, move out of the way. I go fishing most mornings.
Yeah.
There's a little dock at the end of our block, and there's this one woman that comes every single morning. She brings a journal or something.
Yeah.
She goes to the other side of the dock from me, but she never says hello.
No.
But when she leaves, she says, "Good luck."
We all need a little bit of luck, right?
Yeah.
Well, you definitely have the gift of the gab, and you could talk, you know, a dog off of a meat truck.
Well, I do notice at my age right now, and that's a little bit what I'd be concerned about this, is that I miss my spot. Like, if I'm in the kitchen and say, "Oh, I need to get that from Amazon," by the time I walk to the couch, it's gone. You know what I mean? And
The memory isn't as sharp as it once was, maybe.
well, plus some of my bad habits don't help.
Yeah. You know, I think we all kind of taken on in this family some bad habits. So, like I said, I don't judge. I know that you know, we live our life, and I guess my next question would be, you know, escaping Buffalo, what was the one place that you really fell in love with? I mean, we talked about Houston. You said you feel comfortable in Houston. You know your way around Houston. But, like, when you think back to your time of escaping Buffalo, and I guess maybe escaping is a bad term, but leaving Buffalo behind and looking forward into the future, like, where do you think your sweet spot was, you know, in life, and where were you?
I think that I had excellent communication skills.
Yeah.
And you know that from your business. Is
Yeah.
that means a lot of listening, as well as, you know, the conversational part. And I think that was my strong suit. I know this is going to sound crazy, but I look good in a suit. And I know a couple of jobs that I had, like that VP job that I had. You know, I was up front and I said, "I don't seem to have the qualifications that you're kind of talking about here." And he says, "You'll be fine."
Yeah.
You know, 10 years later, I realized what that was all going on. You know, it was just, I looked like I was an executive and it made their company look bigger. You know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So, but did you ever hear the term demo dollies?
No.
Yeah. You know, when they used to have very attractive young ladies that would go by like an auto show or something, and they would just be by it. They were called the demo dollies. You know, so that's what I felt like with my
You
suit.
felt like that. You were kind of showing yourself off and bringing the attention to you and making things happen because of the way that you looked and the way that you shined.
I think people wanted to spend maybe an extra hour with me.
Yeah.
Because it was a pleasant enough experience.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with, when I went from healthcare software to, the mainframe software, the government, it was an altogether different kind of world. I mean, you did a lot more at that level in the mainframe. You did a lot more of organizing the right people to talk to the right people.
Yeah, yeah.
When they get down to the weeds, kind of a thing. And I think I did that pretty well. So.
I mean, it is a skill, right?
I think so because you have to be technical enough to at least know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
And
Gotta be a good listener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's other things like, with your government deals, when the GSA things come out, did you make it or not? So there was a lot more to it. I liked when I went to California, that was the VP job, and I don't know. That was the really big thing that I kept on thinking about is that, I got a nice title here, but I'm really not making any more money than I did carrying a bag.
That's the funny thing too about becoming like a manager or a director or a VP is you are managing people and you're managing a book of business, but the dollar signs aren't as generous as if you were to be holding the bag and say managing, a huge portion of the portfolio of the business, right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's because it comes with a little bit more risk, I would say.
Are you talking about the risk in carrying a bag as opposed to management?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, because of management, you spread out your risk with,
Right.
Different reps and everything like that. But, that's the thing about when you're carrying a bag is that maybe you got a 3-year run with having the best software there for that particular application.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, you might have to go to another company to be on top of it again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that was somewhat in the world in the mainframes,
Mm-hmm.
So what platform are you guys on? Is it all?
As far as like our software,
Yeah.
we build our own software. All of our software is
No, but
in-house.
what platform? Is it on Windows based or?
Oh yeah, I mean we operate on Linux, Windows. I mean all of it. Yeah.
Have you seen the thing about Linux getting very popular again in Europe?
Yeah. It's great. It's open source.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
It's been around since I was around.
I know. Making a comeback. People love to use it. Nerds like to use it.
Nerds like to use it. That's it. You just nailed it. That's it.
No, it's the truth. I mean, holding the bag was fun. You manage your own book of business, but it does come with a little bit more added stress, I would say.
Yeah.
As far as job security goes, there's definitely stress when you're a VP managing people. There's no doubt about it. But I have learned that I like managing people. You have to be a good people person, but you're managing attitudes, you're managing egos, you're managing all different types of things.
Yeah. You're managing the highs and the lows of your team.
Yeah. San Francisco, I remember, was such a cool place. I remember just being in awe of the roads, the way that they were elevated, like 90-degree angles. Like, what the hell is going on here? People would drive down them, you swerve through but there were all these cool restaurants and it was beautiful. I mean, beautiful women, beautiful scenery. You had the boardwalk, the sea lions that were chilling all out there. I remember us walking that.
Yeah.
I remember us going to nice restaurants. That was one thing you always did, took us to nice restaurants. What's like your fondest memory of San Francisco?
Oh, San Francisco. Well, I don't know. I mean, I hung out with a few guys that, one guy in particular who used to always create these parties for everyone. At like a new restaurant was opening up. He'd get us in, and we'd spend a fortune. And sometimes even one person would pick it up. If there was 5 or 6 people there, kind of a thing. But I enjoyed that kind of vibe of being around there and people saying hello to you.
Yeah.
When I lived in Marin County, everyone knows you there.
Yeah.
You know, so, and, you know, I coached Little League for a couple of years. So people really got to know me a little bit, and I like that. That was a good feeling.
I remember staying in your condo where you had the boat, and I remember you threw a party, and you had just this great group of people there, and you guys were drinking and smoking cigars, and you know, you had this great condo that overlooked the water with the boat. And I remember Travis and I hanging out in his bedroom, and I just remember it being like just a really great vibe. Just really, and we ended up watching Kingpin, the movie Kingpin, and
Boy, you have a great memory.
yeah, I mean, we had to have been 12 maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I just remember that condo, and I remember getting on the boat and us taking it over to Alcatraz and you letting me drive it, which was cool. So
That was a great place. I mean, you remember that? I could look out my living room window and see the boat going up and down
Yeah.
the water. You know? And then, you know, sometimes when the wind would kick up, even though we were in a cove,
yeah,
but if that wind would pick up, you know, it's really nice to be able to, you know, walk down to the dock and tie up your boat a little bit tighter, you know, that
Yeah.
kind of a thing. It's a nice thing.
yeah.
Now I have another dock
Oh, you do?
here, yes, but it's no boat.
No boat. But you get to look at the water.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. We're recording now, right?
Yeah, we're recording. We've been recording.
I'll tell you a funny story.
Go ahead.
I had this place when I was a kid that I used to tell people about that I liked, and it was in Dunnville,
Okay.
Ontario.
Yeah.
And you know, after the cancer thing, I was thinking I need to go up there, maybe spend a week or something like that. I really liked the place, and I'd been fishing here since I lived here for 5 years, but I'm fishing more the last year or so than I did, like almost going every day kind of a thing, you know. And I finally realized one day I'm sitting there, and I said, you know, this is just like Grand River in Dunnville. And I was looking at the width of the part that I was at before the real lake was taking place. And it finally dawned on me. I mean, I've been saying I want to get on a plane and go to Dunnville, and here I got it right here. And that was a very surprising thing. How do you go multiple years without noticing something
Yeah.
that's right there in your face, you know? So,
Yeah. I mean, that had to have been a great revolution, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What is it that you love about fishing? Is it the peacefulness? Is it just, is your mind clear when you do it?
I'm going to give you all the real answers, okay?
Okay.
So this is what my routine, okay, is that I like to, you know, have a cup of coffee like anyone else in the morning and everything. But when I pour that second cup of coffee, I'm out the door. You know?
Yeah.
And sometimes I walk with my poles. But the main thing I do is I have to, you don't know what this is. It costs a cast net. Have you ever heard of
Yeah,
these?
yeah, of
You know,
course,
throw 'em
yeah.
out? Well, that takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
A real lot of energy.
I see people doing it on the beach in Florida.
Yeah. So that's that's how I do it, is that if I catch bait, I'm fishing. If I
Okay.
don't catch bait, I'm home.
Oh, so you're throwing the cast net out first. If you don't catch anything,
That's right.
the day's done.
That's right.
Ah, interesting. Okay. So you got, there's steps to your fishing. It's not like you're just going out with your tackle box and you're hooking it up and you're throwing it out there.
It really is. You started talking about walking. And
Yeah.
I'd mentioned that, you know, there's trails all around where I live, you know, and what did I lose my train of thought on there just then?
Fishing.
Fishing, yes, but the trails. Oh, yeah, because I was doing that walking just like you were talking about.
Yeah, it's
And
wonderful.
But when I started doing more fishing, especially with the net, I would come home and thinking that was a lot more exercise than, you know, walking
Yeah.
2 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's got me more really, really loving going back to fishing again. So
The exercise you're getting
the
out of it.
exercise, yeah. You know, when you're starting to throw that thing around and, you know, and you'll always catch something. you know,
Yeah.
when you're out there. So that's exciting.
What's the best thing you've caught out there?
Oh, just catfish.
Just
That's
catfish.
it, yeah. So
Yeah.
some are bigger than others. But
I went fishing out of like the St. Pete port, and we took a charter out, and we were catching. It was like 4 guys, and we were just throwing it out there, and we had a guy take us to the spots, and man, it was choppy, and but we stuck it out and found some spots that were kind of a little bit more calmer. And we were just catching, what would you say, the catfish over and over again. You can't do nothing with catfish.
Yeah, I know.
You know, you got to throw them back. You got to be careful how you handle them too, because they can get you.
Yeah.
But then we were hitting the spot where we were getting redfish over redfish. It was
Great fishing.
Oh,
That's great fishing.
and then they filleted it for us, and then took us. They're like, go to this restaurant. They'll cook it up for you. It was wonderful.
You know, in the flats around Galveston, I had another boat out there too. It was before California, and we did that whole redfish kind of thing. And I remember the way that we rigged it was we had shrimp at the bottom and then a little bobber or something on top. Toss it out there, and that was
yeah.
it. And you were busy all day long. You know,
Wonderful.
catching that fish. So
Yeah.
salt water is different than fresh water.
Yeah,
That way.
absolutely. You know, I do love Lake Erie. Something about it. I mean, it looks like hell, but I don't know. I mean, it's nice being out there sometimes.
I saw a thing on YouTube. There was this girl in a bikini.
Yeah.
And she had her girlfriend there too. And it's on YouTube still, I think, because I saw it more than once. And she's walking out, you know, into the water. And I was the first one to comment, and I said, Lake Erie.
Yeah.
Sure enough, it was, you know.
You knew
so,
it.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, people get so excited about the summertime, they'll go to any beach in Buffalo, and it could be full of rocks. As long as you're by the water, you know, they'll lay a blanket out there, and God bless them.
I remember this about Lake Erie beaches, is that if you went in June, it was still cold. If you went in July, it was perfect.
Yeah.
If you went swimming the third week in August, it was cold again.
Yeah. You got about 1 month.
Yeah, what a great beach month.
People spend, you know, hundreds and thousands of millions of dollars for this lakefront property, and you know, you get to see 2 good months, maybe.
Yeah.
So, but not to
You know,
rag.
there's to give Buffalo some credit.
Yes.
There's a real thing going on in Buffalo now. This kind of resurgence. People are proud of their city.
Yeah.
And that canal side, I've never been to it, but it looks great.
Yeah.
When I look at it. But there seems to be this thing going on that people are trying to find that little thing that they're really proud of, that this is their home. When I was leaving in the early 80s, people just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone you talk to was, I got a job waiting for me here or whatever. There was nothing there for them.
Yeah.
So,
The boom was over.
way over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I will say I saw a really good spike in growth pre-COVID.
In Buffalo.
Yeah. Before I moved to Florida, they were developing Main Street where they had, you know, the train go through. They extended the roads through there. There was nice restaurants popping up.
That's the
It seemed like it was, the theater district.
Theater district is real nice, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, there were people investing, big shots that were investing. And it felt like there was something great happening.
Yeah. That's the kind of the vibe I'm feeling
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
But I will say COVID set it back quite a bit. You know, just the way that it was handled, unfortunately.
Did anyone in our family get COVID?
I know I did.
Oh, did
Mom did. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I don't know. I know Mom did. I know my sisters, I believe, did. I did. You know, Mom suffers from COPD too, so I was really concerned about her. But she's such a boss. I mean, my mom is such a boss. She's a great woman, and she stuck it out, and she's healthy for the most part. So, yeah, I'm gonna take a break because I want to check the camera and how
Okay.
like this is working, because this is my first time using it.
Okay. All right.
So, and we'll get
So
back.
you're going to be editing this thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Houston.
After Houston, I'm flying back up to Buffalo,
Uh-huh.
and then flying back up to Buffalo, and I was gonna go to Tempe, Arizona, because I just hired a new girl, and she's there. But man, Uncle Tom, I'll tell you what, the traveling. I was in Denver, a few weeks ago. I was in Chicago. Chicago's a cool city. I never really got to spend too much time in Chicago, but I have a mentor out there. His name's Vito Locasio, and he's just, Italian, obviously,
Right.
and he was one of the first guys that interviewed me, and we just kicked it off. And funny, his name's Vito, but he lives in Chicago, and he took me all around. He took me to the Art Institute, the museum. Oh my gosh, that place is unbelievable.
I've never been there, but I did have Westing Electric was one of my accounts in Chicago.
Yeah.
So I was there a lot.
So you got to spend time.
Westinghouse, not
Yeah.
Westing Electric, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not like, that was not like the main city to go
Yeah.
to for me. So
Yeah.
But
Cold.
plus, there was always that decision: do I want to go into Midway or Chicago?
Yeah.
There was that whole thing about, am I going to be able to make it home? And there's a lot of, we're going back to Buffalo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Buffalo in Chicago.
There is.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the northeast-ish areas they kind of blend together in a way. Pittsburgh. I mean, I know, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. It's like, I don't know, something about it just all kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago's a little bit of ways from there, but it's still kind of got that feel to it.
Buffalo, though, is different than Pittsburgh. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, because Buffalo is a lot more Midwest than Pittsburgh is. I will say that. There's also we ought to get off the real estate thing, but we're going to talk about it too much. But there's also this big resurgence in upstate New York.
Yeah.
People moving and saying, "Hey, I can get on a train and go into the city, and I'll live in Albany."
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. So.
I think there's a big exodus out of New York, though, as well. If you want to be completely honest. You know how many people I run into that are from Buffalo or from Rochester
I
or
bet you see
Syracuse?
that a lot in Florida.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I remember when I moved from Tampa to my house, and I didn't know anybody. And it was like the first weekend I was there is football season. It's October. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to type in Buffalo Bills backers bars. Because I know there was a great one in Tampa I would go to all the time, right?
Right.
And I swear there must have been 10 that popped up in my area. And it's like, holy crap, there's so many people here. And everybody loves the Buffalo Bills. So, anyways.
I tell you, what do you think of their new stadium?
I mean, it was needed. I love people hate the fact that they didn't do, the retractable awning, but I think I like the fact that they kept it open. It screams Buffalo, and you can't take the elements out of football. Everybody wants to build a dome now. No more rain games, no more snow games. Like, what are we doing?
Well, it's just that when they make those dome things cost effective, that they could build a dome, for not that much more than without the dome. I just think it makes it more versatile, that they could do more things with it.
Yeah.
And I was surprised. I think, how are we getting back to Buffalo? We had that coming. But I just think that I noticed when they interviewed people about the stadium, and there were more than one person that said, "Can you believe that's in Buffalo? Like, we're not deserving,
Yo, the taxpayers are paying for it,
Yeah,
though.
they are. The $850 million,
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
So,
I think it's great. Josh Allen was a blessing for Buffalo,
Yeah.
for the city of Buffalo. I mean, he really has been the catapult for changing the dynamic of the team, obviously, but also just the whole city. I mean, there's an energy behind being a Buffalo Bills fan now.
because he's a winner.
He's a winner.
Yeah, and boy, Buffalo needs a winner.
Yeah, we do.
So-
We certainly do. There's no doubt about that. Buffalo's a great topic, and that was one of the topics that I wanted to
Sorry.
discuss.
I was
No,
gonna
I know. Listen, I love Buffalo. I will always love Buffalo, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. And listen, I kept a house up there for 4 years that I lived in for maybe 6 months. It's like I did it for the family,
Right,
and I did it to stay close.
right.
So, God, I remember when you would come to Buffalo, I'd get so excited. I remember you rented a purple car.
I remember that
And
car.
you're like, they make a purple car?
I remember that car. It was.
It was like a sedan of some sort, like a Buick.
We flew into Toronto. That's what it was. And we got the car at night in Toronto. And I didn't know it was purple until the next morning when I got something out of the trunk or something like that, a suitcase. I said, I got a friggin' purple car here, you know? So
Oh my gosh. I remember one time you and Travis left, and I was young, and I was so sad, crying my eyes out in Grandma's bedroom. And she's like, Anthony, calm down. They're gonna be back. They're gonna be back. You know. And you guys are taking off, and I see you guys, drive by Grandma's bay window in her bedroom, and I'm just crying, and I'm like, I'm not gonna see him for so long. And I go to sit down in the bed, and I missed the bed and fell right on my ass.
multitasking.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. But Grandma was so sweet.
Hey, can I do this?
Yeah, do whatever you want.
I bring these are car things that you're supposed to drive your car with, but I bought like 40 of them.
Yeah.
And I don't like them. They're too thin for the car. But they're all over my apartment. I mean, they're like every time I'm lifting one of these up and I'm doing this and everything.
So you're like carrying it around like a handkerchief almost.
Yeah.
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 I've got a ton of those as well.
Yeah.
The microfibers. What would you say, going back to business and just your success, what was the biggest risk that you took, and how'd you manage it? Like, how'd you deal with that?
Well, I never thought I was taking a risk working for a big company. When I worked for a big company, there was really, you knew what your job was.
There was structure.
And there was structure. That's the word I'm looking for. There was structure for the whole thing. So I never felt much risk there. I knew I could do the interview. I had a good resume, and I said, all right, I'll get this base salary and kind of take it easy for 6 months. And I had to do that more than a few times.
Yeah.
Because it's more than moods, but when my head goes into a different spot, I'm useless. I'm not going to be able to generate any business. I'm not going to be able to manage anything, So, I had to kind of think about all those types of things. And I miss, while I was watching downstairs, like the people like yourself coming in, and you've got the backpacks and you're writing, $1 million business.
Yeah.
I watched that a little bit in the lobby and I missed it.
You missed it.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you were traveling a lot, right?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
So you were getting on planes,
Yeah.
What would you say the percentage was a year you were traveling? Was it like 50% or more?
Oh, way more than 50%.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I got a week that I only traveled 3 cities, that was pretty good. That was an easy week.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And is that when you were with Honeywell?
I did that with Honeywell some of the time, but not as much. But I did it a lot with CA, Computer Associates, and with BMC Software.
Okay.
They were the 2 big mainframe companies.
Yeah.
BMC they were a public company. They went public while I was with them, which was a good thing. And they then took it private because they had so much cash. About 10 years ago or so, they took it private. I mean, $1 billion of cash, and they're a software company.
Yeah.
So they wanted to spend that money on other things, and they've been doing it. They split the company, took it private, and that's been about a few years now. And they just a year or so ago split the company in 2.
Oh, interesting.
Are you on the side of the data centers? Are you in that business at all?
Yeah, I mean,
Backup
we
and
work.
recovery?
Yeah. So we're 100% agnostic, but we work with all the big players: Dell, EMC, HPE, IBM. I mean, our product fits within like those data centers, the servers, to back like the storage backs up to that, right? And then we have a whole component with Azure and AWS and Google Cloud that we back up to as well. So
One of my favorite war stories about sales and everything was before I got into management, I think I told you I handled healthcare.
Yeah.
Healthcare software. And one of my accounts was this big company in Houston. They're still there. They own a big hospital and a lot of real estate and everything. So I was working on this whole configuration, probably taking about 8, 9 months or something like that. Wanted it to be, business I get before the end of the year. And the guy who's the CIO, we turned out to be friends. And he'd actually gone to we went to Cancun with his son and my buddy. And so the four of us went out to Cancun. That's how well we know each other. So my story about this sale is 8, 9 months, got the configuration done, got the whole data center built out and the whole thing. And then I get a phone call from this guy that I know. He says, we're having a problem with backup and recovery. And I didn't know what he meant. He was kind of teasing me a little bit. You know what? Half a day later, they doubled the size of the contract.
There you go.
So they could have a system here and a system there,
Yeah.
and then back up each other. And that was pretty amazing.
Look at that.
Jeez. So I was a big man on campus, and I was the only one that knew that I didn't do a damn thing to get there.
Isn't it nice when something like that lands in
Yeah,
your lap?
That was a good one.
Because you work so hard on some of these deals, which margins could be slim. You may have to go skinny on it to win.
Yeah.
And then sometimes there's just that people got the budget, they don't care. They're like, hey, we need this.
That's right.
No questions asked.
That's right.
It's a wonderful thing. That's the game of sales. You could be busting your ass for pennies, and then you could make a quick buck.
BMC Software, really a big success story out here in Houston. And they started out with what was called a line optimizer at the time. In those days, they had a lot of dumb terminals that were just hanging onto these mainframes. And I lost my train of thought.
How they were a success in Houston at the time. They had BMC.
Yeah, I lost it.
You
We'll have
lost
to go
it?
on to something else.
All right.
Sorry.
We'll lose it. Being a successful businessman, what would be one piece of advice you would give like a business leader like myself?
I'll tell you, I'll give you a really simple one.
Yeah, simple is always better, I
Make
feel.
every single customer your only customer.
Ah,
There it is.
yeah,
And let them know it.
yeah,
Really let them know it. I don't care if it's a $200,000 deal or $1 million deal.
Yeah.
They got to just feel that. Because look at it this way. Someone has the budget. Let's just say it's a low end of a couple $100,000 or something like that. They have that budget. They make a mistake spending that. That could be career limiting, And so they really have to have a lot of confidence that your team can pull it together.
yeah,
And so I did that.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about the healthcare end of it, but my main goal was MD Anderson. And when that business started working, I really felt like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like the time that I felt like I was most successful.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain
Yeah.
it really, but
Yeah.
everything was kind of clicking then, So, and then when I was in backup and recovery too, for a mainframe product called RRDF, Remote Recovery Data Facility.
okay,
And that was that same thing. I don't know if it's the same as your product, but you could have 10 different systems. It was before they have all these server
Yeah.
daisy chains and everything.
yeah,
And I don't know.
yeah.
I miss it.
Yeah, I could
Enough of business.
I could tell
Enough
that
of
you.
business.
All right, enough of business. I
Let's
could tell.
talk fishing again.
Well, one thing I do want to ask you about, and it's not about business, but it is about work. You wrote a book, Buffalo Poker. Was it The Hand That You Couldn't Fold or something along those
something
lines?
like that. Yeah, I had different titles.
Yeah,
along
yeah.
the way,
And you sent me one, and I read it, but I wanted to know because, it kind of sparked a little bit of a writing, like energy, I guess, in me, and I did a little bit of writing, and I enjoy it, and I haven't picked up the pen in a while or sat in front of a keyboard and looked at a blank page, but what is something that you learned from doing that? Because writing a book, whether it's good, whether it's great, or whether it's and I thought yours was good. What would you say you learned from that process?
A lot of things.
Yeah.
I think when things were, or I use that word again, clicking, but when you're writing and things are going along, you just keep it going on. You're enjoying it almost, like you're laughing at your own jokes.
Yeah.
You know, that you write in there, it's, oh, that's funny, or that's good, or something. You know, you can really get caught up,
You were in a flow.
and that can go on for months.
Yeah.
Now I'll answer your question of what did I do wrong. After everything was finished, I let it sit there for a couple of months, and I went back to it and ruined it.
Ah.
You know, because I said, oh, wait a minute, that sentence doesn't work here, and that sentence. The next thing you do is all that time you spent in the beginning, you're spending again doing editing.
Yeah.
I would never, if I was ever to write a book, I'm going to do it from emotion, and I'm going to send it to someone and say, fix the past tenses
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Just get your thoughts on the page, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Let the editors deal with all the editing.
And with that book that I wrote, I was, you know, I certainly was making my own narrative out of that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm writing it. I'm doing what
Yeah,
I'm doing.
of course.
You know? So, but I have to say that I had more fun doing that. As much as I was talking about business and liking that, I had a lot more fun sitting there and making like a whole paragraph work or something
Yeah.
like that. And when it works, you know it. You know, so
When you got in front of the keyboard, did you have like a system that was like something you always did? You bring like a glass of brandy with you while you were writing it, or I'm sure you had a joint with you.
that's a great question. Joint is a bad idea, by the way. You know? People, I see these things, people in Hollywood, you know, they smoke a joint before they write their
Yeah.
scene and everything, and I think, man, I'd be too lost, you know, that whole thing. Yeah, different phases. And you got to keep in mind, my writing started out in small, short stories and that blog I did and all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So I started to get the hang of writing without it being a pressure. Because if you were writing just a short story or one paragraph or whatever for the blog, you know, you could do that kind of quickly. And when you're writing 300 pages or 200 pages, that's a different story.
Yeah, it really is. You have to remember characters, you know, what was going on the previous chapter, 10 chapters ago. You really got to keep it together.
You do.
It's pretty impressive to be able to put together a 200, 300 page plus book. It really is. You know, we're talking about all the fun things, and we'll keep it fun, obviously, but there are some questions that I think matter that I want to ask you. And they're just simple questions, and you can answer them however you want, but who would you say is the biggest influence in your life?
Wow. Who was the biggest influence in my life? I would have to say that maybe my brother Rick.
Yeah.
Because my brother Rick, I remember he took, like you have memories of Travis and
Yeah.
all of us going out. My brother Rick kind of played that role, and he took Dean and I to different things, like to a basketball game once, and he took us up to Canada that we were talking about before.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we went up to Canada the first time with Rick, he was driving a brand new Mustang convertible. It was a maroon, a white interior, and it was a stick shift on the
Yeah.
door. It was convertible, and he had it. We lived on William Street, and he had it parked along William Street. People actually stopped their cars and got out to look at the thing back in those days. I'm making this short story long.
Yeah.
So we get to Canada. He had bought like two or three sport coats because they were English sport coats from, a haberdashery kind of a place, in Canada while we were there.
Just on a whim.
No, I think he bought them and they was picking them up
Oh,
or something
okay,
like that
okay.
or whatever. But I remember just, the new clothes and the nice haberdashery.
Yeah.
And I was maybe 10 years old and I'm thinking,
That's it.
this is it, so.
So he encouraged you or kind of gave you the drive to want to be the successful businessman that you are today.
He was someone that I could look up to.
Yeah.
How does that?
Yeah.
And
You liked what he had.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
I didn't really get to spend too much time with him, but he was always very nice to me.
Mm-hmm.
And he did take me to SeaWorld when I was a young kid.
Yeah. SeaWorld in Niagara Falls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was great.
He took us when we were really young. He took us. I think he was in college at the time, and he took us to the Robert Moses Power Plant there in Niagara Falls.
Oh, really?
And they had all these. It was very fancy in those days. But you put 35 cents in, and you got a tuna fish sandwich out. They had all these little things.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. My mom always talked very highly of Rick. So what would you say was that first thing that comes to mind was a failure that you're grateful happened to you?
A failure that I'm grateful happened to.
Yeah. Maybe something that you can remember that you learned from that was like, okay, and maybe it got you back in your place.
I don't know if I have a really good answer for that. I certainly have had a lot of failures down the lane. I mean, things that I thought were a good idea at the time that didn't turn out to be. We could spend a whole lot of time on that.
Was there maybe one that got away that you think about every now and again?
I can think of like different jobs that I should have taken that were offered me that I didn't. I can think of that. Like I let that one go by. I can think of different relationships that I had, and say, well, that was a keeper that I blew, or something like that. But
what would be your piece of advice for somebody like that?
On a relationship standpoint?
Yeah. Maybe stick it out a little longer. Maybe work a little harder on it.
I think, people are going to see this interview and they're going to say what I'm about to say next is being, oh yeah, that's him. I think you got to think of yourself.
Yeah.
I think you got to just be, I don't know, you have to do what's right for you. My granddaughter said that to me once. She didn't say it that way. She says, you be you. I never heard that one. You be you. I never heard that before. That's a pretty common thing.
Yeah.
And I got that from my grandchild. So I guess I didn't learn a lot during the week.
No. Well, it's sometimes the simplest terms like hit the most, You be you. So true. So true. What challenge in life made you stronger?
Made me stronger. This is going to sound strange to answer it, but my second divorce, it was with Travis. There was this terrible child custody thing that was going on, and I won't go through the whole details, but I'm bipolar.
Yeah.
And I went through a year and a half of every friggin' day in court or lawyers and write checks and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And when I made it through, I had to do the right thing. And when I made it through the other end, I felt better about myself. It's pretty easy for me, which is not a really good thing to say, for me to walk away or run away from something,
Yeah.
And so that was something where I just didn't have that option. And when it was all over, and I made some good acquaintance / friends that were with me a lot of the way, in courts and all that kind of stuff. So people that were like, their case was coming after mine we got to be friends after a year and a half,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd have to say that that was one thing that I stuck with.
Yeah, it made you stronger. It's a challenge that made you stronger. Yeah. You brought up the bipolarness that you suffer from, or you deal with, right? Like, what would you say has been? Would you say that may be the most difficult challenge that you face day to day? Is just, I mean, I personally, I can't understand it completely, but I will say I couldn't understand anxiety for the longest time. Like, people who got anxiety, I couldn't understand it. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what? Like, what? I almost thought it was an excuse. And then I had this feeling that was so overwhelming that I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell? And I couldn't place my finger on it. And I'm pretty calm, cool, and collect for the most part, but damn, felt like I was having a heart attack.
Well, panic attack is exactly that.
Yeah. So, the bipolar thing, how in your age now, being 72, have you been able to kind of understand it more?
Yeah. To answer that question specifically, there's a specific answer to it. To understand it more was, I took this course about 5 or 6 years ago called DBT.
Okay.
Dialectal Behavior Training. I think that's what it's called, DBT. And it was a 2-week course, and it was all bipolar people. Can you imagine that? In a room
All
this
in one room?
size, all bipolar people. And the kicker is that when you're sitting there, I'm not telling the story right here, but when you're sitting there and you're seeing people that want the attention and people that are being mad at someone else, I remember sitting there going, "Yep, I've done that. Yep, I've done that. Yep, I've been there." So,
You weren't suffering at that point.
no, but this DBT thing, it's not therapy and it's not all those other things that you talk about, but it says, why did you just do what you did? Why did you just holler at that street light or something?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that, And and what this DBT does is it says, this is why you did it. It's this. It's this. It's this. So you take ownership of it, but at the same time, you're not beating yourself up all the time.
Yeah.
So
it helped identify
Yeah.
what you were doing.
But if I write another book, it's going to be about those 12 people sitting around there with bipolar.
That would be a movie.
Oh,
You could
my
turn that into
goodness.
a movie. That's hilarious. I remember as a young kid, we do all the great things, but you would get some road rage back in the day.
I remember the Niagara Falls thing with your
Yeah.
shirt.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about that?
Well, I didn't think about that, but I remember that.
Yeah, that's right.
We had to get me a new shirt.
That's right.
I had, I think, a slushie all over me or something.
I just remember that when I hit the brakes and the slushy went all over the place, I remember all right, there's a gift shop right over there.
Yeah.
It's right there. We'll just buy a new shirt
That's
and
it.
be done with it, and it was fixed.
I got to walk around with the Niagara Falls shirt the whole day in Niagara Falls.
You were the real winner then.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a memory. God, those were such good times. I can't believe I was saying this to somebody the other day. And I've been saying this for a long time. Time is the ultimate currency, the most expensive currency. There's no doubt about it. But there is a currency for, and I just kind of learned this. There's a currency for you put time aside, and it's more so for your internal being, and how you maybe perceive yourself, or you kind of hold yourself to a status by the currency of being accepted.
Being accepted.
Yeah. Everything I feel like is about acceptance. Whether it be, back in the day during the .com era, everybody wanted to be accepted and be number one on Google. During social media boom, right? Still to this day. How many likes do you get? If you don't get enough likes, how come? Why not? Why am I not being accepted?
Right.
Relationships. You get broken up with. Why am I not accepted? The ultimate gut punch, is not being accepted.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with that, but to your question earlier, so let's take the not being accepted and then add on a mental disease, a mental illness, and see how you handle that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And is that the time you have road rage?
Yeah.
Or is that the time you just sit in your house and you don't do a thing?
Yeah.
Everyone is different. I do a lot of the YouTube things, and certainly because of the bipolar that I'd be interested in, there's a lot of people that I follow that are showing their manic episodes on on the screen or whatever, and I have empathy for all of that, but they're all different. So if I this is a little bit personal, but the doctors don't give me antidepressants, which is something that you'd normally do on it because it makes me more manic. And now let's just take that a little bit more complicated. When you've had mania, where you're getting things done and you're cleaning out the garage and you're writing a book or whatever.
Planting bamboo in the backyard?
Yeah, bamboo in the backyard. That was great stuff there. So you handle things differently your way, you know what I mean, compared to someone else.
Yeah.
But I joked about that group of people. It's not the first time that I've had a group of bipolar people around me, but they're not all the same.
Yeah.
They all have their own little thing, and I'm sure every single person though in there has made their nephew get away from the slut shop or something, that kind
Something along those lines, right? Yeah.
But you can't. I'm going to just make one last thing here.
Yeah.
With all of the things you say, I don't do that. Don't talk so much, or don't move your hand, or whatever. Even if you say it, you could be in the middle of something and it'll just boom. It'll be just like that, and it could blow the whole afternoon or whatever the whole event. But I don't know. I like the idea. I've rambled too much, but I like the idea of having this map that course taught me. That when I'm we're having this conversation here. And of course, I'm talking about myself, so you're going to feel a little bit of stress that's all going on with that whole thing. But my mind instantly goes, okay, well, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
You're stressed for this, and this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And boom. And it doesn't say that you have to fix it. It just says that this is what's happening.
Yeah.
So.
Do you are you feeling stressed out right now?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I'd rather talk about you.
You can ask me a question.
All right. So you got yourself a tattoo thing here. I know. So where did that all come? And even over there, huh?
Yeah, this is all grandma. I did this all for
glad
grandma.
I asked.
Yeah, this is so you can see this is her face and then her hands. She's like reading the book. So her looking down at me, you can see the face in the trees.
Yeah.
And then her hands, because she used to read me books all the time. And then, you know what? This is actually really interesting. So Travis, I told Travis I was doing the eulogy for grandma, right?
Uh-huh.
And he gave me this quote that I put, and I said it. It was the last thing I said at grandma's eulogy. And it says, "Your spirit is your cathedral. Let it soar as high as you will." And Travis wrote that to me. And I put it in the eulogy, and it was the last thing I said at grandma's eulogy. And I put it on my arm.
That's really a nice story.
Yeah. I thought it was just like one of the nicest, like perfect. Like a perfect thing to end a eulogy on.
Yeah.
And Travis wrote it, and I tattooed it on my arm. And then I got the roses, because this is more so for my mom, because she's got her 3 kids. And then grandma loved her garden.
Yeah.
And I put Highland on there for the road, for Highland. And then the lavender flowers, because she loved lavender. And then she always kept an angel in her garden. And then she loved giraffes. Do you remember she loved giraffes?
Yeah, I remember that.
There's a giraffe on the back of my arm. You can't see it, but it's there. And
Anthony, how did we go 3 hours and this is a big deal?
I figured we'd get brought up.
Uh-huh.
So that's it. Yeah. And then
Nice.
I also got a tattoo with Travis on my
Really?
on
Well, we'll show that later.
yeah, I'll show it later. But yeah, Travis came into town and he's like, "Let's go get a tattoo. Come on, let's go get a tattoo." And I was like, "All right." Travis always was like pushing to get if he wanted to do it, he was gonna figure out a way to do it, So
My favorite story, I have a lot of stories, but I remember I was in Buffalo. I think I met Travis there, and he wanted to move to New York. So he just went to New York. Was he there with you?
yeah,
that's
we
what I thought.
drove to New York.
Okay.
He literally he stayed.
Yeah, he said, "Oh, I'm moving here."
I'm gonna
that was
stay.
it.
He had a book bag.
Well, I did end up driving, so he must have got some other stuff, because I ended up driving to New York, and on Houston Street. And I remember that, because it's not Houston. That's how they pronounce it.
He is, I love Travis. He is a character, man. But I'll never forget when I was dating Kelly at the time. My sister Kaylin went with us, and we were just going to, he was staying with me for I think it was summer. He was with me for about a week, he had just got I think he got paid out for that workout company that he was working for
A lot
in
of money out of
Austin.
that. He did
Yeah.
well with that. Yeah.
And so I remember he had just a chunk of money, you know. And we drove out there, and he's like, he was the one to bring it up too. He's like, "Why don't we go to New York City?" You know, he had a roadmap on what he was planning on doing, and we were there, and he goes, "Yeah, you guys can leave. I'm just gonna stay. I found an apartment on Craigslist that I'm gonna stay in."
You know, he sent me after he got that cash out. He went to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And we'd been to Hawaii, Travis and I, together a couple of times at least. And but he had this picture of him, I guess, he had a beer or something in his hand, and he was with some other guys, and they were like out at one of the I can't think of the name of the hotel. We never stayed there, but we'd been there before and we saw it. And he said, "See, Dad, I'm balling just like you showed me, or just like you taught me." I didn't know what balling meant. So I'm thinking, motherfuck, did I? You know?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, you know, he got to see all the shiny toys and the beautiful women and all the things. And now he's, you know, me and Travis had our differences, and I reached out to him recently and just said, "Listen, whatever happened, happened. And I don't want that to be our relationship anymore, you know?" And he came back to me and, you know, said the same thing. And, you know, it's squashed now, but I could not be more proud of him in this moment right now being a dad.
That's nice to hear.
Yeah. And I don't talk to Travis much. You know, if I'm thinking about him, I'll reach out to him, say, "Hey, love you. I hope all is well."
Yeah.
And he'll always get back to me, but I feel like he's in a place that is right where he belongs.
I don't know. You know, we're talking about the Philippines now, right? Or
Well, I think he lives in Austin.
in Austin now. Okay.
A little outside of Austin.
Because I know he was coming the last time that he called me. I thought that he was in was it the Philippines?
He was there, yeah.
And I wait for him to call me now.
Yeah.
I think that's the right thing to do.
Okay.
So he called me for my birthday.
Good.
So, but I wait for him to call now.
Yeah.
That's right. So.
Well, he's not. You know, I was in Austin for work, and this was probably 2 months ago. And I texted you, and you said, "Anthony, I don't really want to drive that far anymore. I'm old man." I said, "That's fine."
Yeah.
But I reached out to you, and I didn't reach out to him. And I posted an Instagram picture, and he goes, "You don't let me know you're in town?" And I go, "Trev, I don't know where you're at, buddy."
Yeah, that's his deal.
Yeah.
That is his deal.
Yeah.
So I understand it, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that I understand about Travis that other people wouldn't. Because I'm like, you know, he's dealing with the same shit that I deal with, you know, so I know that.
Yeah, yeah. I will say it was an interesting move to Houston when I moved to Houston when I was 21-ish, maybe.
Yeah.
I was excited. It was great. But it was interesting because
Are you talking about Austin or Houston?
Houston, remember when I moved into your home in Houston? Travis had just got out of, I think, jail. He was living with you.
Oh, I had that house.
That's where the bamboo was.
Yes, the bamboo. That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Jeez, I lost that until you reminded me.
Yeah, I lived with you I was working at the LA Fitness with Travis. I got super sick. I remember you took me to the emergency room because I had like severe strep throat. And I was just down and out. And I was maybe 6 months into Houston. And I mean, LA Fitness grinded you.
Yeah.
You were working 70 hours a week, you know? And I went back home. And I remember, you know, I kept my car at your house and you put it in the garage. And I came back and my mom came back and my mom stayed with you.
I remember that. Yeah.
And, you know, and that's when Travis was doing the meet thing. And he's like, "You got to come to Austin." He's like, "You got to come to Austin. That's where it is."
I remember he was with me there, and then when he moved to Austin, it was one of his friends from San Francisco, I think, that was in Austin, and you know, they connected her.
Yeah.
He says, "Get out of Houston. You don't want to be there."
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So,
And he said the same thing to me.
yeah.
And then we packed up my car and we went. And we lived out of his Land Rover. Because we kept my car actually at your house still. And then we were sleeping out of his Land Rover for a good maybe month.
Travis could do that. I'm not sure about you though.
I did it. I did it, man. It was, and I will say it was probably one of the most humbling experiences of my life. It was a good thing for me, even though, you know, Travis could be manic and he could go through his you know, crazy times and whatnot. But, you know, Travis deep down is a really cares and is an emotional human being, and he wants to be accepted.
Yeah.
Travis wants to be accepted.
Sure.
You know, and I think he looked up to me because I was a little bit older, and you know,
You also had a lot of patience. That's what I remember about. Do you remember the house that I had with the pool?
yeah.
And I remember you and Travis were doing some bedding, and there was some girls in the neighborhood that were coming over, and I do remember like going in the house and saying, "This guy's got the patience of a saint," you know. I wouldn't be able to put up with my kid that way, you know. So
I liked that house a lot with the
was a
pool
nice house.
table.
Yeah,
that was a nice home.
Yeah.
I like that home. I have to bring up this home, and this probably was my least favorite home of yours. It just felt like too much of the suburbs. But when me and Travis detailed your brand new Land Rover,
that Land Rover was like, I don't know, months. Very, very. That was that. Well, you know, I remember just saying to you guys, just stay away from me for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
You know, don't talk to me.
you took us bowling that night.
Did I really
Yeah.
see? That's not too bad then.
Yeah, I remember you being on the phone with somebody on the way to bowling, and I forget who it was. I think it was a woman. And you're like, yeah, they detailed my car and used something that just tore apart the paint, but I'm still taking them bowling.
You know, I will, since we brought this up, it took the paint, the little bit of the paint thing off of it, but in a couple of days, you could hardly see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like, I mean, because it was a new car.
Yeah.
You know, and then I have all this, it was like Ajax or something like that you guys did on the paint. But after a while, I never even had anything fixed on it.
No?
I mean, yeah, I kept it, you know, for 3 years.
Did you always lease your cars?
Though, back in those days.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't do now.
Right.
Back in those days, I
What are you driving these days?
I have, I'm happy to say, I still have my Acura TL.
Do you really?
Yes. It has 73,000 miles on it, and it's 11 years old.
Wow.
And the interior looks brand new. I mean, I took one of my neighbors to work, a few months ago or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was her words, you know, like she was afraid that she was going to get the rugs dirty or something. And,
Is that the car that you... That wasn't the... No, that was the Honda. You had a Honda.
I had a Honda. That was the one that Travis got into the accident.
Because I know you sold... I remember you sold it to him.
I did, but then he came into town and he was going to rent a car. And I said, "Oh, I got this truck here. Remember, what's her name? A girlfriend of mine.
Yeah.
Anyway, she had a truck, and I said, "Well, I don't really need the car right now. We were driving the truck," and that's when he brake checked someone. And they hit the back. I sold it after that.
Yeah.
Had the insurance fix it, and I said, "Man, you know me. If it's broken, I don't want it around. I don't want to even think about it. You know."
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
That Land Rover that he had, that yellow one, was pretty cool.
It was with the Beetle thing.
Yeah.
I love that car.
That was a really cool Land Rover. That was what we slept out of for that month. But that would turn heads. Like Land Rover enthusiasts, like they knew that was a cool Land Rover.
It was.
Yeah.
It was a perfect color, and you know, I'll bet you the guy that bought that Land Rover, it was the Beatles thing that got him, because it looked so perfect back there, you know. And my Land Rover was, you know, 10 years newer than that, and it didn't have the cachet that Travis's did.
Yeah. I have to ask you this question because this is an Uncle Tom moment that I'll never forget.
We have a few of those already.
And I won't keep you that much more longer. We're already on like an hour, but this is great and exactly what I really wanted. So I know, we got dinner in a few hours, but there are a few more questions I want to ask. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine.
All right. We were talking about technology, software, our jobs and whatnot. And I'll never forget when I was in Tampa at my condo. I was outside. I had just booked travel to Austin, and this was 3 years ago. And I had to ask a few people for your phone number. And I remember calling you, and I left a voicemail. And I get a call back from you.
Right.
Then you say, you say something along the lines of, I go, hello, and you're like, hey, I'm like, hey, Uncle Tom, how are you? And you're like, yeah, you're like, this is my nephew Anthony. Just with AI and everything now, I just want to make sure that this is really you.
Yes.
And you're like, I'm going to ask you a question that only you would know.
Right. Well, I think when you sent me that text a while ago, and it was you had more written on there. Okay. And I just thought, Anthony doesn't do that. And at my age, you read these things the way they take advantage of people that are
right.
I'm just, I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Yeah, but
I could tell you a few people who've gotten duped from that.
Man, and I would read things to say, okay, this. No, he wouldn't have done that.
Well, I did.
Yeah.
That was really me.
Yeah. Well, good. That worked out.
Good punctuation.
Good.
But leading into that, because that was a funny story. What do you think? What are your thoughts around AI and like the future in it?
Ooh, I've been really paying attention to it.
Yeah.
And the big question is that can AI ever have a conscience? Something that and everything I'm reading right now is they're going to be able to program it in there and have it. So that's pretty spooky.
Yeah.
But there is something happening now that people are starting to think that children, 10 years old, 12 years old, 13, shouldn't have phones all the time, attached to them. And I think of AI in the same way, in that if our whole life, if you go to college and you have to write a paper and you're just savvy on the computer and you hit a couple of keystrokes and everything and you've got your paper.
Yeah.
So the question would have, well, you used AI successfully. So is that a plus, or you didn't come out of your heads, or is that a minus?
I mean, you're not really thinking for yourself, right?
Yeah.
That's
exactly right. Exactly right. But you could put down, you could maybe write a paragraph and say, give me 10 pages.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Right.
And that's all you need to do, because in that one paragraph, it would have the way you talk or the way you write, and give me 10 pages and it's done.
Well, I will say, I've been using ChatGPT for a long time. And it understands the way that you write. It understands the way that you think. It understands, the more you put in there, the more it understands you.
Yeah.
And you could talk to it. It has a voice. People use it as their therapist,
People have these little dogs. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
AI dog. I did look at it. I thought, well, I never have to pick up poop.
Right?
And,
so the AI thing is interesting for me because it's in the technology field so heavy these days. Everything's AI.
Yeah.
Everything's AI. And they have us. They gave us a license for Claude. I don't know if you've ever used Claude, but it's superior to ChatGPT for creating like PowerPoints or reading Excel sheets and putting together formulas or things of that nature.
So with ChatGPT, do you load, for example, did you see the thing in Washington, D.C. where they took Trump's name down from the Kennedy Center.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? I was wondering, like, is ChatGPT, they had all those workers, they made them do some dances while they were taking the things down. Is that what, can you just go and set the parameters to say, I want you to copy what happened in Washington, D.C., or whatever the thing is, but make them dance?
Yeah, I mean, not so much ChatGPT, but there's other softwares that are good for video AI. You could do pictures. Like I've created like party invitations through ChatGPT, and they look incredible. Looks like somebody photoshopped it. That is a, so long graphic designer.
Right.
See you later. That job is long gone.
Well, I left that job after a few years, the VP slot, and started DataShare. Do you remember that business that I had? I had a recruiting business.
Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
I kept that going for about 6 years, and it was just at the right time during .com. People had money, and all they wanted to do was get people.
Yeah.
People to write code. But now with AI, that whole, where recruiters like myself were making a fortune on putting the right people in the right place, a lot of those coders are out of work.
Oh yeah.
And
You can create a website.
that's right.
Say you want a roofing website, give me the code.
That's it.
Copy and paste it into a software, and there you go. You got it done.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Years ago, when computers were just starting to go into homes, I bought one, and I got this software. You wouldn't know what it's called. It was called 8-in-1 back in the day, but it had spreadsheet, word processing, graphs. It had the whole thing and all together under kind of an umbrella type of thing. And you didn't have to be someone that would code it. And I remember like being up late at night and writing a database. And I mean, I'm not that technical that I could write a database, but you could with that. And that's where AI is. I think about that, and AI is right now, give me my monthly budget. Here are the numbers.
Yeah, exactly. I would compare to what what was it called? What was the software called?
8-in-1.
8-in-1. The WordPress. What a software to streamline being a web designer. Like no longer do you need to go into, write HTML5 or CSS or Java. I mean, you go into WordPress and you drag and drop.
There's a lot of those like WordPress.
Yeah, but WordPress was kind of like the first. I feel like I remember didn't you create a website off WordPress?
Yeah, lots of times. The problem is that with my mind is that I'd come into the office after I'd have a perfectly good 6 months and say, shitty, need a new website. And I had people working for me that knew what was going on.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of like going back to your book, like writing it and then going back and just Websites were so relevant back in the day.
Back in the day.
Oh my! If you didn't have a website, you weren't it.
That's right. What was really is, I think you needed to have a website that clicked onto other websites or clicked onto other places.
The links, the hyperlinks?
Yeah, so let's just say that you were selling this water and you had a hyperlink to all the reviews.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to do on Amazon or something like that. That's the kind of stuff I think that software can do.
Well, there was a thing back in the day where you could create a website, and if you had, you would tie it to Google, and those hyperlinks. If people were to go on your website and click on those hyperlinks, you would build a bucket of money through Google because it was directing them to Google.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, but you're saying that when they buy something.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
It was a lot of news companies that were making websites, and there would be the sponsorships all over the
aggregators.
Yeah.
That's all.
And that's all.
When I worry about Travis, which I do often, but I always say now, he's 30s too, late 30s.
Yeah.
And he's still alive.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is.
Travis. He's still alive. He's found a way to keep a roof over his head. So
More than one time, that's for sure. Yeah. I think the child too could be a blessing, because there was always, Travis always said things along the lines of, I don't know how long I'll be around for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was always like, really? I just, I couldn't relate to that. But he would say those things and they would make me sad. But I feel like, he had purpose with Callie. When he got Callie, I'll never forget. I was like the first one to say, Trav, you're not ready for a dog. But Callie was the best thing that could have happened to him.
Yeah.
And then, I think the same thing is with, his daughter now. I think he Travis needs purpose in his life.
Yeah.
Callie gave him purpose. His daughter gives him purpose. I don't know his relationship with his girlfriend, but it seems like he's happy, and then I think it's great.
I'm glad that he's in Austin.
Yeah.
Because you know what I worried about most about Travis? Was that he was in the Philippines. And Travis, that, your visa is only good for like 60 days or something like that.
Yeah.
Can you see Travis? Oh, I better take care of this and get down over there and do that. No.
Definitely
So
not.
I was waiting for the call that says, I'm in a Philippine jail, lawyer or something like that. But
Yeah. Well, I think you met that girl there, and they had their daughter there, and I saw recently on Instagram that he posted that his daughter, they got a passport for her, so they plan on going somewhere, if it's back to there or wherever. But man, the one thing I'm really upset about that we got cut out about was the answer when I asked you if you could give Travis as a new dad a piece of advice, and your answer was absolutely perfect. But we
what was my answer?
Your answer was like, I'm not giving him
Yeah. I was thinking, did I think of something?
No, you didn't think of anything, and that was the perfect answer. That was the perfect answer. The other question that I gotta ask is, like you said before, the one word that describes Grandma.
Definitely kind.
Yeah, definitely kind.
Yeah.
Such a kind soul. Talk about patience, though. I mean, maybe not when you guys were kids, because I hear some war stories from when you guys grew up. But
I do think about my mother, from time to time.
Yeah.
And with her birthday coming up, I was thinking about her lately and everything. And I was trying to think, like, we went to a Catholic school when I was like in first and second and third grade, and it was just a block away. And so we would come home for lunch when we were in kindergarten and first grade and all that. We'd come home for lunch. And I remember like my mother putting like peanut butter and jelly together, not cutting it, just here's the sandwich. And I'd sit there, and she just did a lot of watching television, and then she would make dinner at night and everything like that. But
eating potatoes?
Oh, always potatoes. I mean, like a half a plate of potatoes. But and you know what I eat at night? I like to have potatoes on my plate right now. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of good memories of the Chimera family, and I know there's definitely some things that have happened in the past that probably nobody's happy about. Everybody's got a secret, it seems like, in the Chimera family, but they start getting revealed when you get a little bit older.
Yeah.
But I remember just the times the good times of Highland. We had me and my mom, we had Uncle David, we had Aunt Diane, Aunt Lisa at one point was still living with Grandma. We had everybody on that block. Everybody. And it was fabulous. When you think about Grandma, you say you think about her sometimes, and with her birthday coming up, how do you think of Grandma? Like, how do you remember Grandma?
I remember maybe not so much how I thought her as a whole, but I remember when I think about it, like different things, like the kindergarten thing that I was just talking about. I was thinking about that for some reason, and I remember being in kindergarten the first day of school, and of course we just walked to the church, which is where the thing was, and all these kids were crying and screaming, "Don't leave me, Mommy, don't leave me, Mommy." And I remember at that age, and still looking back at me, you go home, I'm fine, I'm good.
I got this.
I got this, and everything.
I remember Graham. I remember the smell of Graham's house. Walking into the side door, walking up those 2 little steps.
Yeah.
You know, and the back rooms that Vito built, and then you walk into the kitchen, and you know she'd always be on her chair watching TV. And then I always remember her. I remember her always on her swing.
Yeah.
Her
And
swing.
she liked that.
She
On the
liked
porch.
The porch.
Yeah.
I have to tell you this. I haven't told many people this besides my mom. Hold on, I just want to. I'll figure this out one day. One day maybe I'll have a studio. So, I personally hate when people tell me about dreams, but I have to tell you this: the most vivid dream I've ever experienced in my life was about 2 years ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday. And it was early morning, and I woke up sobbing, and I could not get a handle. I could not get myself composed. And it was of me walking down Highland, and Grandma was tending to her garden, and she stopped and she looked at me and she goes, "Let's go sit up on the porch." And I said, "Okay." And she sat on her chair, and she sat like she always did with her foot underneath her butt, and she was swinging away, and I was sitting across from her like on a chair like this. And and we were talking, you know, like we normally would talk. And it was, and I go, "Grandma, like, how are you?" And she goes, "Anthony, I'm doing great." She goes, "I just want you to know that everything is gonna be okay, and that you're doing a great job, and I love you." And it like stuck with me forever.
Sure.
And it was a moment that I knew, like I could remember dreams and that I'm in a dream, and I knew that I was in this dream. And you know, before that moment, it was just, you know, like a candid conversation, but it was, you know, I don't remember it verbatim, but it was kind, and it was gentle, and it was just beautiful. And she said that to me. She goes, "I just want you to know that I'm doing great, and I want you to just, you know, be happy, and like that, and everything is gonna be okay."
This was your dream.
This was my dream. And I woke up just a mess. And I called my mom, like, "Mom, you'll never." And I had dreams of Grandma, like, not as vivid as that, but she looked beautiful. It wasn't Grandma when we last saw her. It was Grandma with her makeup, and she was done up, and she was, you know, had her outfit on. You know, she loved doing that, you know, and it was just something that I felt was, I don't know, just, I'll never forget it. And I think about it all the time.
Sure.
And it meant a lot, and I haven't dreamt of her since, which, you know, is sad, but maybe that was just her coming to me and telling me, letting me know that everything is going to be okay.
I'm going to share a story that's similar to that. Don't you hate people when they do that? I was living in San Francisco. You know the guy I told you about that used to do all the fancy restaurants and things like that? He had a brother that lived in Los Angeles and was some kind of thing to the stars. He had pictures of themselves and everything. It wasn't therapy so much. He would like do a massage and bring them back to another world or whatever. And my friend was drumming up business for his brother in San Francisco. He was going to be there for a little while and try to get something going. I was one of the people.
Okay.
So I can't even tell you what he told me to do or whatever, except maybe close my eyes or something like that, and then he just did whatever, you know, kind of stuff. And it went on for a while, and all of a sudden, I saw Anthony Camara, not you, my stepfather, standing right there.
Wow.
I mean, as clear could be. He's the last person, you know the stories. He's the last person I was going to say, but they were doing this whole kind of thing, you know, and you know, those are the kinds of stories they wouldn't know about me or anything like that, you know. And so anyways, when it was all over, I don't know how long it was it 45 minutes or whatever, when it was all over, I was, like you said, when you woke up from your dream with your mom, you know, I was like, wow, I saw him as plain could be there.
Yeah.
And he said something to me, I'm not going to repeat it here,
Yeah, yeah.
but he said something to me that, he says, you've been waiting for this for a while.
Yeah, yeah.
And he said it, you know, kind of, not I love you, those are too easy, but something a little bit more
Right,
complicated. And when he kind of snapped his fingers or whatever the hell that was, I don't remember exactly, but it was pretty clear to them that something happened to me.
Wow.
That they noticed something that was going on. And yeah, and it was just I thought that was like a private thing that I was just seeing, but they knew and recognized that something took place there. And it made me think when I got back, this is why this guy's getting the money from the celebrities, you know. Either he faked it out, but I thought it was real.
He's doing something special.
I thought it was real. Yeah.
Would you, with it being Anthony Chimera, like, probably not the person that you would be guessing you'd see,
Right,
right?
right.
If you were to do that today, who would you want to see?
Oh, and that whole thing?
Yeah, like if there was somebody if somebody could put you in that trance, or you can have that dream.
I probably want to be able to make amends with my mother. You know, I'd probably
Yeah.
want to be able to do that. I think that'd be the first thing, if that was something that you could do.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Do you feel like you left on bad grounds?
Sure, that last day, you know?
Yeah.
So, my mistake, again, was just, I pretend that I can do anything.
Yeah,
I should not have been 30 days in Buffalo while my mother was dying
yeah.
there. That was a stupid mistake, There was better ways to do that, you
Yeah.
know, so, and that's what happens.
I think you were trying to probably just be a good son.
I thought so. I thought when I made the reservation, I remember that, and but I was not smart enough to know what was going on
Yeah.
in my head. And in hindsight, you know, that'd be a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we're talking about, you know, a few times throughout this conversation is things that you wish that maybe you didn't do that you learned from, right? And that's probably one of the big ones.
Yeah, but there's, you know, this is gonna sound strange to you, Anthony, but I can't beat myself up for every little thing
No.
that I mess up myself, because I do mess up. So if I'm in line someplace and someone looks at me the wrong way, you know,
Yeah.
it's not everything that I got a complete control over, you know. I actually, when I talk to you about that, I like to go fishing every day, and I like to be home a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I've been traveled my whole life, so I do like to be home, and but I don't know. I think that I'm missing out a lot that I should be having more. But I've, you know, you just can't be 70 years old and bipolar without ruining every single bridge, you know, that you possibly can.
Yeah.
It's just part of the territory. You know,
Yeah.
so.
If you could go back to Tom at 30 or 40 years old, what would be the one thing you would tell yourself?
30 or 40 years old.
Yeah.
30 or 40 years old.
Like, what bit of advice would you give yourself? You could take your DeLorean back.
Oh, I think, you know, my first thing comes to mind is that some business thing that I should have done.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff. And
But something more of substance than a business thing, like something that, like a piece of advice, like not a business advice, but something more emotional, I guess.
yeah, I don't know how to answer that, because I think that I can get to, in many circumstances, I'm going to be too emotional
Okay.
for it to be effective.
That's
you know?
fair.
So yeah.
That's fair. If I could go back to my 30s, I think I would have told myself to maybe love harder and not run away.
Yeah, well, welcome to being a man.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? What would you say you're most proud of? Would it be, I mean, obviously you're established businessman, but everyone that I'm around that has children, they're like, that's the best thing that could have happened to me, and it changes everything, and it's difficult. And would you say that your children you're probably most proud of?
The happiest times of my life was when I was a father.
Yeah.
Period. You know, you could just start from the girls to Travis, but that's the happiest times.
Yeah.
You know, all the other stuff and everything, you know, that's nice.
Right.
But when you really get down, you really want to get into your heart. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
So
The Christmases and
I can remember all that stuff.
oh, the Christmases, and you would come out to Christmas, and you normally do a summer trip.
Mhm.
I feel like, and those Christmases were special at Grandma's, weren't they?
You know this about Grandma. She started Christmas shopping in January and February.
I remember going to Grandma's, and she would have those big, thick books, like the Sears books, and she'd be like, you know, circle what you want or something along those lines, and I'd go through that whole thing, and it would have everything in there.
If my mother was on a mission for anything, it was that she wanted to be Santa Claus. You know, so
She was Santa Claus. I mean, she was Mrs. Claus, that's for sure. She was great. She kept that family together.
She did. Well, because everyone wanted to be with her.
Yeah.
They wanted to, you know. So
I've I don't know if you know this, but I've tried carrying along the Christmas tradition for the family, and so when Grandma passed away, nobody did it, and then I was like, I'm gonna do it, and this was when I was living in Buffalo, you know, full time, and I, you know, get the bar ready. I get the, you know, people would bring food, and I smoked a ham, and I do the whole thing, and it was great. And I did that for probably like 3 years.
good.
And then, you know, it kind of fell off, COVID time, and then I moved. But I did it this past Christmas, and it was great. You know, not everybody shows up,
Yeah.
but it's just nice to be able to do that.
Well, that's you know, you've moved to Florida, and you know me. I'd be really, you know, proud of you to moving to Florida, but you miss Buffalo. You're gonna miss Buffalo. I mean, I've been out of Buffalo for a long, long time, been in a lot of different cities, but there's things I can tell you about Buffalo that no one else has got.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll give you an example. I remember I said I wanted to go to Frank's Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't like it, but it's as good as it's going to get in Houston. You know what I mean? Because once you've had Buffalo pizza, which is unique, it's different than anything else. You know, that's your pizza.
That's your pizza.
So
It is. That is 100% true. The hot dogs.
hot dogs, and then here's the other thing. Don't get me started on hot dogs, but you have hot dog varieties in Buffalo.
I know.
That's a big deal out there. And
Yeah.
we have a hot dog place here called James Coney Island, and they put the sauce on it and
Yeah.
everything.
Doesn't touch
It
it.
doesn't even come close. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah. Zorba's dog.
Zorba's and Ted's and all
Yeah.
that. You know, Ted's has one other location in outside of Buffalo, and that's in Tempe. You talked about
Oh,
Tempe.
yeah.
And there's usually lines there, people tell me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's in Tempe.
Interesting. I've grown to like Arizona.
Yeah.
Not in the summertime.
What part were you in?
Tempe and
Tempe?
Scottsdale.
Scottsdale's kind of nice, isn't
It
it?
is. It is. Talk about beautiful women. Tampa as well. Tampa's like, I fell in love with Tampa. I really, really did. And then I went to Scottsdale. I'm like, oh, I could see it. I could see it.
You know those houses that are on the hills and they're kind of like all, you know, what do they call the things? Adobe kind of stuff?
Yeah.
They do on it? Yeah. What do you think? Are we all set?
Yeah, close. There's one last question I do want to ask. Before I ask that, I like this question, and we talked about it a little bit, but I would like to know, just from wisdom from my great uncle, what matters what matters more than people think? Like what matters, like what do you think matters more than what people think?
Would people think that I would think? In other
Yeah.
words, someone wouldn't think that I would think that matters?
Yeah.
You know, this is going to sound selfish, but peace. People think about me as being all crazy and moving around and doing this and everything, but when I get that feeling of peace, you know, I don't want anything to change that. I mean,
Yeah.
that is like think about that. If you're always some kind of mania going on in your life, and then you get this moment where, or this afternoon where you're just completely peaceful, and it's not so much a goal, it's more that it just happens,
Yeah.
you know, and I like that.
The feeling of being able to kind of just clear everything out and relax, and there not be anything
Yeah.
sitting on your shoulders.
Well, yeah, and let me explain it this way. It's kind of in the early when we first started talking about this, and I said, well, I'm traveling all the time on, you know, work. I just like to stay in one place. I like the idea of staying in one place and having some kind of routine, you know. I wasn't joking when I said my second cup of coffee is on the dock, you
Yeah.
know. It's those routines are really important now. And let's go back to the very first question about fishing. You know, I catch a couple of fish by 9 o'clock in the morning. If I want to sit on my ass and watch television and smoke dope all day long, you know, when it's over, I made my
You
morning,
did.
got off to start, I'll do whatever I want to now, you know what I mean? So, but let's take it the other thing, is that at my age, if you get up in the morning, you know, and you don't have something like that to do, yeah, and you're sitting there saying, you know, maybe I'll go to Walmart. That's what I'm doing.
Well, that kind of feeds into the whole retirement thing, right? There's you retired at an early age.
I did, but it was retiring, but it was also health.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Did you have a plan when you retired? Like, were you like, I'm gonna go travel, or I'm gonna, you know, maybe meet the woman that I'm gonna be with the rest of my life, or I don't know where you were as far as relationships go when you retired, but like, did you have a plan that you were like that you really wanted to nail down?
The only thing I was concerned about was if I could afford me, you know?
Yeah.
And I went about 10 years there with not very much money,
Yeah.
you know, like just about, you know, pay where I was living or something like that. And then when I turned 65, I had some money from Honeywell, and that started coming in along with Social Security. And now,
You're good.
yeah, I'm good. But I also don't live fancy. You know
Right.
what I mean? And
So I don't have to worry about inheriting any debt when.
yeah.
Okay, good.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with that car though, you know, I'll have to give it to something.
Yeah, I just I have a car up in Buffalo, really nice Toyota Camry, but it's a 2007, but it looks brand new.
Mm-hmm.
2 owners. Bought it from a friend who kept it in the garage, and I got back from Florida, and the inspection's up, the check engine light turns on, the wheels got a flat, and then I forgot to, you know, renew the insurance, and all my registration's up. I mean, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna rent a fucking car, you know, for the month that I'm here.
Right.
And I'm giving that car to my nephew, Christina's son, Sal, who just turned 16.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, listen, take care of the little bit of problems that there are,
Right.
and you
Right.
can have it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a beautiful car. I mean, it's leather interior. It's got the ground effects. It's got the low profile tires. It's sharp. It just needs a little bit of TLC. It's been sitting, you know.
Plus, you've had it for a long time, so you know it's part of you.
It is.
And I never kept cars very long. 3 years,
Yeah.
they're back, you know, kind of thing. So with this car, you know, I just I think I got a connection to it, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, if I can play around in my head that I wanted to buy one of these teardrop trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what those are?
Yeah, yeah.
And everything. And I thought, well, yeah, that'd be a cool thing to do. And I live, like I said, in that forest, and there's places that you can go to the real forest, not where my neighborhood is, and camp and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And I didn't want to do a tent because you have to have AC, you know.
Yeah.
And so I
And
thought
you
I'd
said
do one of
that
those
makes
kinds of things. But it would mean that I wouldn't be able to use my Acura for that.
Yeah.
So I'd have to get another car or something like that.
right.
And that's the thing that's holding me back. I wouldn't mind the teardrop.
Right.
I've got a connection to this car. I don't want to get rid of it, you know. So
Could you buy an old truck?
yeah, I've kind of thought about that, but
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
The reason why is that I think I've been watching a lot of YouTubes on these
I could tell,
teardrops.
I could tell.
And there's like this system there that says if you have a Winnebago, you're here, and if you have a teardrop, you're here, or whatever. And it's a real caste system, you know, in these places that they can. So if I had a bad, like a really beat up truck, you know, then they put me over that. No, we can't associate with him.
Yeah.
He's the poor man. You know?
You would need a nice truck,
Yeah.
like a Silverado or something.
Something.
I could understand the connection. I have like this weird connection with the car as well, but I have this really deep connection with my house in Buffalo.
Sure.
And it's been, you know, I was packing for this trip and I look in my closet, I'm like, damn, I got a lot of stuff I gotta get rid of, you know? And there's just every little thing in the house is got like some sentimental value to it.
Yeah.
So I redid the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, you redid the kitchen. I did all this work with Vito in it.
Mhm.
Tore down a wall, put up a header, built this beautiful bar, like put down the floors. It's just, but you know, you gotta let go sometimes,
Yeah.
which I've learned, and it will be probably, besides the short marriage that I had, the biggest chapter of my life that's closed.
The house you're talking about?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
And you definitely want to sell it?
Yeah, it's ready.
It's ready?
Yeah, there's reasons why, but
Mhm.
it's ready. It'll be a nice chunk of change though too, Uncle Tom.
And it's nice living in Florida in that you're not paying income tax on it.
Yeah.
But you do in Buffalo, because you own it, whatever your profit is, that's New York State taxes.
They're gonna get me some way somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, the house is paid off. You know, I don't know if there's a way around it,
Yeah.
but I'll edit that out. I'm having such a great time having this conversation, but I know it does have to come to an end because we do have dinner in less than an hour, which I'm looking forward to as well. 2 questions. And these, I don't know, I don't want you to overthink them, but just a short answer. If your great grandchildren were to listen to this recording or this video down the road, what's one thing you want them to know about life? Or know about you? Either one.
I'd like them to think that their grandfather had a sense of humor. That I was funny.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like you said those words, that's a big ask when you get older.
Yeah.
Because no one thinks you're funny when you're older. You know? But that's what I would like them to kind of come home with.
I can tell you for certain that I'll remember that about you for sure.
Good.
You, when you came to Buffalo, and you were at grandma's and the family was there, you always made it fun and funny.
Good.
You were incredible.
Thank you, Anthony. It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
That really is nice.
And then my last question, my final question will be, what do you think Grandma would be most proud of if she was sitting here listening to us today?
That we were here.
Yeah.
Period. That's it. There's no question about it. She'd be sitting there with tears in her eyes.
She
What are you
would.
talking about? She'd be just, where's my rag here? You know? She'd be batting her eyes, you know, so that's all you need to know. She wouldn't need any more depth than that. you
No.
know, so
No.
she'd be happy.
She was such an incredible person. And Uncle Tom, I just need to say, like, thank you for everything you've done for me in my life. It does not go unnoticed whatsoever. I think about you often. I pray that you're good mentally and physically, health-wise, and it seems like you are, you know, seeing you today, you look great.
Thank you.
I was concerned you were gonna age like, you know, I was like, oh no, I'm gonna see Uncle Tommy's gonna. And you look great. You look absolutely great. I would not think that you're 72 years old. And I think that this is important that we do this because not only will it be good for down the road, but like these conversations are so rare, and we need to have more of them, and they need to be raw and truthful. And there's nothing better than sitting across from you and being able to do that. Now that I'm a grown man, you saw me, you couldn't believe that I'm almost 40, and you know it's like, you know, we went 10 years without seeing each other. So I'm doing this today, first time seeing you in 10 years. I couldn't have asked for a better way to get back to, you know,
Yeah,
seeing
this
you.
was
in
really
person.
smart, Anthony.
Yeah.
This was good.
Good. Anything else you'd like to say? before we wrap
No,
up?
but I have to say, you made me feel good, Sim, but, you know, I know you as, when we talked on the phone the other day, I was thinking of you as this little boy, you know, and me, you know, so seeing you downstairs, you know, and you're a man, you know, it's a big, big deal.
Yeah.
Because I know you as this boy, you know, and I'm happy to see that. I'm really proud of that, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We've come a long way.
Yeah, even a great watch.
Oh, one thing I do have to say, I will never forget one thing you told me. If you're gonna be a businessman, you need to have a nice watch and a nice pair of shoes.
Nice pair of shoes, yes.
Uncle Tom, I love you.
I love you too, man. This was nice. So do you have work to do?